We are building a church based on masculinity and not femininity. The feminization, I think, of the church in recent decades has been a killer of taking away the forceful kingdom part. And so then you can see a lot of churches that are very docile, very, very weak, I guess. And when you see that, sort of, a lot of churches lack lions in their ranks. So they've got many lambs, kittens and chickens instead of lions. Jesus started out to be a lamb, the Lamb of God that was slain for the world. But he now morphs, and you'll see in the book of Revelations, he's coming back as the Lion of the tribe of Judah. He's not coming back as somebody who's been whipped and killed and defeated. He's coming back as a conquering king. And I love that whole aspect of it. So you can start like that, but you can still retain. And I think the more stronger you get, the more grace that flows out from within. Isn't that beautiful? The more strength and might that comes into you, and the more that you find you and know how to learn to know the states and the conditions of yourself. That was a great thing about David. I think when David went to that battlefield and he arrived on there as a young man, barely out of his teens, you know, you see the great feat, you know, those who know their God, shall do great exploits. Now those exploits are feats. And the funny thing about this is Hebrew is one of the few words in the whole of the Bible that they found difficulty in finding the Hebrew meaning or word for exploits. But there is a word there, it's a funny word, but it actually came out to mean like something that's abnormal. And we always think that a freak, it's like a freak of nature. And we always thought a freak of nature was something that was a monstrosity or ugly. But actually in this sense of the scriptures, a freak meant that something that was brilliant in its own sense, that it was one of a kind, unique. It was out there, you know how we say he's a freak of nature. Michael Jordan on the basketball court, Jonah Lomu on the rugby. And you can find various things of people with outstanding abilities, traits and achievements. They call them freaks of nature. Just imagine the freaky things that some of the men of God and the women of God did in the Old Testament, right through to Jesus. You know, it's a term. Jesus was a freaky fella. Man, he pulled off some real feats. And the same with this. David, to get into this and seeing how they'll do great exploits, the ability to be able to change your world, influence people. I gave you a small little example. I mean, there's many times in my life, you probably find many examples where you've left an impression. People think about you. Well, today, I left an impression on many, as I said, many different people, and it came all about, not from the outside, it came from all within. Within, spoken, and without. There's so much that it could pull all sorts of different levels of organizations and people to be affected by what you carry. It gets richer with time. That's why you got to stay in. Stay committed. Stay loyal. Keep yourself focused.